Alright, so this is part 5 to what if Deku had the Blacklight virus. So last time we left off, it was the beginning of the sports festival. And last part, I said that he only unlocked one ability during the training, but in reality he did when he unlocked 2. I just forgot to mention it. It'll be revealed in this part, hopefully, if I get that far. So, quick recap. It's the beginning of the sports festival, and everyone's in that room right before they enter, and Bakugou was filling out paperwork. At this point we don't know what it is, and he gives it up to the he gives that paperwork to the higher ups, while Todoroki actually goes up to Deku, and he does a similar speech to how he does in the anime, but instead of saying that he's objectively stronger, he says something a little bit different. He says, you know, even though you've been getting help from All Might, I will still beat you and prove that I'm better than my father. And Deku, he's like, you know, I've tried just as hard as everyone else here, and I'm not gonna lose. I'm gonna win this no matter what, right? And Todoroki just walks away, and then everyone gets ready, and they walk out to the field. And that's when, Bakugou does his speech for, the sports festival, saying that he's gonna win. He's gonna beat everyone. And when he says this, he actually looks at Deku, but he still has that somewhat calm demeanor that he does in the anime. So when we get to the obstacle course, this is Deku doesn't really have the glide ability yet, so he can only jump super high. And when it gets to the part where everyone's crowded in that that entryway, basically Deku jumps over everyone else, but he can't glide, so he only jumps. And that's when that's when Todoroki comes through, and the rest of class 1A. For a reference, in Prototype, the first one in game, if you have a maxed out jump, then you could jump around 10 stories. I say 10 stories because I've actually tested this out in game. I've seen how high he jumps, but that's not that's like a weird kind of figure to go with, since I don't know if there's any official things that say how high he jumps, but I'm just saying he's around 10 stories, and then you combine this with All for One or One for All, passively increasing these abilities, and if he were to use One for All in tandem with his jump, I would say he would at least triple this his height. So that's what he kind of does. He jumps so high that he basically passes everyone by. And when he gets to the 0 point robots and stuff like that, he has no reason to take them out, but he still does it anyways, just so everyone else has a chance to shine. And it's also a good way to show the heroes who are looking for students to give them an internship to. It gives them a good show, and it shows how powerful Deku has gotten to this point, how easily he's been able to take down these robots. And it still happens the same way where Todoroki still freezes everyone to get kind of a head start, and Deku doesn't really show off too much of his quirk. It's just him mostly doing his his super jumps and show some of his super strength, because he doesn't really need to use muscle mass to take down the 0 points robots anymore, since he's been training how to use it. And One for All, that base power is enough to take down the robots. So the other classes don't really know his power or his quirk. I mean, so when he gets to the bomb, the landmines, or the minefield, I mean, he has no difficulty at all getting across it. He could just jump 30 stories and just get across pretty easily. And it's really no competition when he gets first place. I think it's the same order as it is in the anime. So when we get to the cavalry battle, people aren't as hesitant to join Midoriya's team, but since he doesn't know that many people there, he's still kind of shy, so he just picks people he knows, and some people that would give him a better advantage. So he picks Ochako because she has a the gravity. She can remove gravity, so he has kind of an idea. So he picks her, and he picks Tokiyami, I believe that's his name, the one with the shadow. And then I think he would pick. Let's see. He needs one more person. I think he would pick Mineta because of how he's helped him in the past. Have you seen part 1? You know what I'm talking about. How he has a little bit of a closer relationship in this one. So Deku has a plan to how to avoid everyone. So what he does is that he's one of the legs and has Ochako on top. And what he does is he holds onto everyone on his team and jumps as high as he can. And when they start to fall a little, that's when Ochako uses her quirk. So they stay stationary midair. And the two that are left are the two other people that's on his team. Merera is kind of there to shoot his sticky balls at anyone who gets close enough, which is not that many. The only one that could really go up there, to my knowledge, is someone like Bakugou. So he's kind of there to throw balls at him, because Bakugou can't simultaneously. It's gonna be hard for him to dodge things while also trying to keep his momentum going upwards. And Tokiyami's there to kind of block any projectiles that come in. So there's not really anyone that could get him, because Tokiyami's weakness is light, and there's not really anyone that could get close enough to really affect him. So yeah, I would say it goes the same way as the anime, where it's or not the same way, because in this one Deku still gets first place and the other teams are the same, other than the one with Shoji that had Mineta and stuff like that. So we get to the part with the tournament. So what's the first battle? I believe it's Momo versus Tokiyami. This one kind of plays out the same way as the anime, but a little bit different, and I'll explain that. What I mean is that she still makes us the shield and the staff, but instead of getting completely knocked back, she's actually physically stronger because she was doing some combat training with Deku and All Might. So she's actually able to have some situational awareness and things of that nature. So what she does is that she's actually able to make a flashbang, because she knows that Tokiyami's weakness is light. So she throws multiple flashbangs while trying to cover her eyes with her shield, so she won't get affected by it. And because Dark Shadow becomes very passive when there's a lot of light, she's actually able to get Tokiyami out of the ring, because he doesn't really do any physical training. He mostly he relies on his quirk. So I would say Momo actually gets the win in this one. So yeah, next fight would be I believe it's the other fights don't really matter, just the big ones, I guess. So it would be Todoroki versus Deku. So in this one, Deku was actually, over the past 2 weeks, he's actually able to make claws based off his blade arm, right? With being able to make his blade arm, it gave him more experience, and he was able to make his claws. So Todoroki does that same thing where he tries to hit him with the ice but not using his fire quirk because he thinks that it reminds him too much of his dad. And Deku's able to break these ice pretty easily. And what he does to get close, because it's kind of hard to get close to Todoroki, is that he's actually able to stab his claws into the ground and have spikes appear near Todoroki, just like in the game where you're able to do that. That's one of the first upgrades you can get for the claws in Prototype, and it's actually I believe it's the heavy. No, it's not the heavy attack in Prototype 2. Never mind. So that's basically what he does, and Deku knows that he's not using his full strength, so he tells Todoroki, like, hey, if you don't use your fire side, you are going to lose, right? And Todoroki's like, oh yeah, I'll prove that I'll win without my quirk. And Deku's like, no, it's like, wait, never mind. Todoroki's like, I'll beat you without using his quirk. And then Deku's like, what do you mean his quirk? It's not anyone else's but your own. And you know, that sends like a shock to Todoroki, and he does that anime gasp, but you know, because he's edgy. So he realizes that, and then Deku tries to taunt him even more. They're saying, you know, if you had your fire side, you might be able to hurt me, or something to that degree, because I would still think that fire is somewhat of a weakness to him, because it's at least when he doesn't have his like armor on, because he's just made out of flesh, and flesh is like, you know, it's not really resistant to fire. So Todoroki, basically, he charges his fire. You know, he does that thing in the anime where he puts his arms out and there's little like combustion, and he goes all out with his fire side, and he blasts a huge kind of fire beam, and Cementos uses his power to make cement walls all around the arena so no one else would get hurt. And then when all the smoke is cleared and Todoroki thinks that he's won because he had no pushback, he sees a figure in the smoke, and it's Midoriya, or Deku. And what he sees is that he has 2 shields on both arms. And you might be wondering, like, what? This is actually one of the abilities that Alex Mercer and also Heller have, where they make 2 giant shields that cover their bodies. So Deku's like, yeah, I wasn't lying. Or Todoroki's like, you lied to me. That had no effect on you. And Deku's like, I didn't lie. If that would have hit me directly, I probably would have been out. And hearing this, Todoroki kind of loses his will to fight, sort of. He still uses, you know, he still puts up a little bit of fight, but in the end, it's not full-heartedly, and Deku actually wins this fight pretty easily by knocking him out of the ring using muscle mass and one for all. So we get to the other fights with Bakugou are pretty much the same as they are in the anime. You know, with Ochako versus him, it's the same outcome. But Momo versus Bakugou, since Todoroki is not in the game anymore, Bakugou wins pretty easily. Like, Momo doesn't really have a way to counter any of his stuff, because she could use a flashbang, but it shouldn't really affect Bakugou that much because he just constantly makes explosions near his face. So I'm pretty sure he would have resistance to like those kind of blinding effects. and his force using his explosions should be more than what Dark Shadow can do, because we never seen anything like that massive Dark Shadow can do until it's like a night. So there isn't that many feats to say otherwise that he's stronger than Bakugou in the sense that his explosions do less than Dark Shadow. So I would say Bakugou wins pretty easily. And when we get to the fight with Deku versus Bakugou, this is the part where we get to find out why he was filling out paperwork. If you don't know, if you fill out paperwork before the sports festival starts, you're actually able to use support items. That's why I forgot the character's name, but the person with the belly button laser was actually able to use his belt. So I'm saying in this one, Bakugou is actually able to use his grenade gauntlets in his suit, but granted only if he was able to get to the tournament. So that's what that's the kind of deal that he made with the higher ups at UA. And when we get to the fight, Bakugou tells Deku, "You're only this strong because All Might was helping you, and I'm gonna show who's really the top dog. I'm gonna show you how much I've improved and who really reigns supreme." And Deku he gets mad at this, and he says, "I've been training just as hard as everyone else, so don't give me that. I'm gonna beat you, and I'm gonna show you that I didn't need All Might's help." So they do a little like Bakugou just basically rushes Deku, and Deku's trying to like dodge it, but he notices that he actually became like a little bit faster than previously, the last time they had fought. So Bakugou goes for a right hook in Midoriya, where Deku's like, wow, he hasn't changed. But then he actually tricks him, he changes his trajectory using his explosions, and simultaneously using his explosions as like a smoke screen, just how he did in the anime during the hero versus villains like test, and actually goes behind Deku and actually tries to do like a large explosion. But Deku's actually able to activate his armor before this and actually shields himself from the blast. And Bakugou just gets angrier since Deku has gotten this, since he kind of sees it as cheap. And he tells Deku, he's like, why don't we just finish this, right? And Deku says, I couldn't agree more. And what he does is that he charges up his jump, just how you do in the game, and he uses One for All, and he jumps to near skyscraper levels of height. And this is what he does, the bullet drop, which, if you don't know, it's basically one of, if not the strongest like move you could do in Prototype. You basically fly or you glide for a bit, and then you just skydive or nosedive down until you reach the bottom, and it does a giant like shock wave. And this doesn't have like any cooldown, you just have to have great like height. And he was using muscle mass at the time, which, if you don't know, muscle mass basically increases all normal skills and any devastator attacks. So as he's falling, Bakugou does his Howitzer Impact upwards to try to meet Deku halfway. And if you don't know what the Howitzer Impact is, it's the one that he uses against Todoroki in his last fight, where he spins while doing explosions to make his spin even faster. And this is one of the strongest like head-on collisions, I would say, up to this point, just because it's from such a great height and so much power behind it. Combine that with the explosion trying to go upwards and try to meet each other in the middle, and this basically does this, I would say, is stronger than the impact that that was made in the anime against Todoroki and Deku. It basically almost destroys the arena. If Cementos wasn't there, then the arena probably would have been destroyed. He put so much concrete that it nearly like filled up the entire arena with just pure concrete. And at the end, Bakugou's just basically knocked out, and Deku's just standing there, kind of like with his shirt basically torn because of how big the impact was, and he wasn't using his armor because you can't really use your armor while doing the bullet drop because you need to glide and things like that. So yeah, when we get to the award ceremony, it'd be number 1 or first place Deku, second place Bakugou, and third it would be, I believe it would be Momo, since she beat Tokuyami and he got third, I believe. So then All Might starts his speech. All Might says, "Young Midoriya, you've shown what the fruits of your labor can do, and you showed everyone here it's not the quirk that makes a person, it's the person who makes the quirk. You having such a villainous quirk does not mean you cannot be a hero. Just like Shinso, well, I forgot the other guy's name, the person who has the mind control ability. I think it's Shinso. And All Might says, even a boy like that, who was seen by everyone to have such a villainous quirk, was able to get as far as he did. It doesn't matter what type of quirk, it's how you use it. And you've shown to everyone here." And he goes next to Bakugou, who's in chains because of how angry he is. But then after a few seconds of trying to get out, he just calms down, he mellows out, because he knew that Deku actually tried hard, and he starts to kind of respect him. And he says, "Young Bakugou, anger can be a fuel, but don't let it overtake you. You need to have a clear mind in battle, and this is why you might have lost. So just keep that into consideration." And she says, or All Might goes up to Momo and says, "I've seen you improve over these past 2 weeks, and I see how you were able to think quickly on your feet, but you need to understand that the same tactic is not going to work on everyone. So you need to keep doing as you're doing, study while also doing physical training, so you could do a quick balance of both, and in the future you'll have greater success." So everyone cheers because it's the end of the festival, and we get to the part where Ida gets a call and says that his brother was in an accident, and it was the hero killer Stain. So Midoriya overhears this, and what he does is that he's very worried because he doesn't know what Ida's gonna do, because he looks very serious, and he just walked away before he could say anything. So I'm gonna end this part here and then do the rest, do most of the Stain stuff in the next part. And I'll say this, right, earlier on my channel I did a what if about what if Deku had Danny Phantom's powers. So if you could you check that out and tell me what you think. I'm gonna still continue this series because I like Prototype and I like My Hero, but I'm also gonna involve that what if into my schedule and do this series every other day. So day 1 will be Prototype, day 2 will be Danny Phantom, and then day 3 will be Prototype, and etc. So that's how it's gonna be, in case or unless I bring another what if into the equation, and I'll just do that kind of schedule for now on. So check out that video, tell me what you think, and give me some suggestions for some what ifs. So this is gonna be the end of the part, so yeah.